In the vast reaches of the galaxy, under the weight of despair and ruin, humanity emerged as an unexpected savior, a beacon of hope that ignited a flame of defiance against the Void Armada. The galaxy, once brimming with life and flourishing civilizations, had become a battleground of annihilation. Across countless star systems, the Void Armada, an overwhelming force of darkness and destruction, ravaged entire planets. Their ships, massive and invincible, tore through fleets with ease, eradicating the mightiest of fleets that had once stood as pillars of galactic power. Whole star systems fell silent, their once thriving colonies and civilizations reduced to nothing but smoldering ashes and drifting debris. The galaxy seemed doomed to despair, but even in the deepest shadow, there remained a glimmer of defiance. Humanity, a species still young in the grand tapestry of the cosmos, had long been underestimated by the other galactic powers. Lacking the centuries of technological advancement of their alien counterparts, humans had instead earned a reputation for their unpredictability, resourcefulness, and stubborn will to survive. They had survived countless trials and fought against insurmountable odds throughout their history. It was this unique spirit, fueled by a refusal to bow to fate, that gave rise to the Erebus, a warship unlike any other. The Erebus was not simply a military vessel, it was a marvel of human ingenuity. Equipped with experimental weapons and cutting-edge technologies that had been developed in secret by the brightest minds of humanity, it was the culmination of years of desperation and innovation. Its crew was composed not only of skilled warriors but also brilliant tacticians and engineers, each one bound by the knowledge that the survival of countless worlds depended on their success. The Erebus was a symbol of human determination, the last hope for a galaxy teetering on the edge of destruction. When the Erebus set out on its mission to challenge the Void Armada, it was not just a warship embarking on a military campaign, it was the last, desperate gamble for the survival of life itself. As the Erebus made its way into enemy territory, the crew knew they were venturing into the heart of darkness, but they carried with them not just humanity's hopes, but the hopes of all those who had witnessed the relentless carnage of the Armada. The Void Armada, vast and seemingly indomitable, initially underestimated humanity. They had faced countless enemies before, and they expected the Erebus to fall like all the others. But humanity's tactics were unpredictable, and their determination unyielding. The Erebus quickly adapted to the shifting tides of war, employing a mix of guerrilla warfare, misdirection, and precise strikes against the Armada's weak points. Unlike other species that relied on rigid strategies, the humans fought with fluidity and adaptability, exploiting every vulnerability, every misstep the Armada made. Every battle tested the limits of human ingenuity and endurance, and each encounter took the crew further into uncharted territory. Within the claustrophobic halls of the Erebus, the crew formed bonds that transcended the military. They shared in the burden of their mission, the weight of knowing that failure would mean the annihilation of everything they held dear. The Erebus became a family, their hearts and minds unified by a single goal: to defeat the Armada and protect the galaxy. Their shared purpose was an unspoken force that gave them strength in the face of impossible odds. Amid the fierce battles and endless obstacles, the Erebus revealed its ultimate weapon, the neural disruption device. A technological breakthrough that had been years in the making, it was humanity's answer to the Armada's seemingly invincible control systems. This device, once deployed, crippled the Armada's fleet by severing their coordinated control, sending the once unified enemy forces into chaos. Ships that had once moved as a perfect, lethal unit now turned on each other, disoriented and vulnerable. It was in this moment of disarray that humanity's ingenuity and tactical brilliance shone. The Erebus struck with precision, dismantling the Armada's forces piece by piece. The disintegration of the enemy's command network turned the tide of the war, and with it, humanity's dream of survival became a reality. But the chaos wrought by the disruption device didn't only affect the Void Armada, it rippled across the galaxy. In the absence of the Armada's overwhelming presence, alien species that had been defeated and scattered found hope once again. They saw in the Erebus a symbol, not just of military might, but of a revolution against the forces of destruction. The Erebus became a rallying point, and species once isolated by fear and distrust began to unite under humanity's banner. What followed was a unified resistance, an alliance forged in the fires of war, bound by a shared desire for survival. The Erebus was no longer just a warship, it was the heart of a new galactic order, a force that gave strength to the weak and defied the very notion of annihilation. Humanity's actions sparked an incredible chain reaction throughout the galaxy. The once divided alien races, each with their own ancient grudges and conflicts, set aside their differences and came together to fight the Void Armada. The Erebus led this united front, its crew at the helm of an interstellar alliance. Together, they launched a series of bold counterattacks that brought the Armada to its knees. The final battle, fought in the heart of enemy territory, was nothing short of legendary. As the Armada gathered for a final push to obliterate humanity and its allies, the Erebus, battle-scarred and bloodied, led the charge. The combined might of the human-led fleet, bolstered by ships from every corner of the galaxy, shattered the Armada's forces. Victory was theirs. The Void Armada, once a terror across the stars, was reduced to a shattered remnant, its fleet broken and scattered into the abyss. The victory, however, was bittersweet. Though the Armada had been defeated, the galaxy was left in ruins. The damage wrought by the Void Armada was catastrophic. Entire star systems lay in ruin, and many civilizations struggled to pick up the pieces of their shattered worlds. Humanity, once an underestimated species, now found itself in the position of leadership. Their heroism had earned them a place at the galactic table, and with that responsibility came the weight of rebuilding what had been lost. The crew of the Erebus became more than soldiers, they became ambassadors of peace, traveling to the farthest reaches of the galaxy to foster alliances, offer aid, and help heal the wounds left by war. Their mission was not only to ensure the Void Armada would never return, but also to offer hope to those who had lost everything. Some worlds greeted the Erebus with gratitude, while others, still scarred by the conflict, viewed it with suspicion. In these moments, the crew of the Erebus became something more than warriors, they became diplomats, counselors, and friends. They shared stories of their struggles, listened to the grief of survivors, and inspired hope in even the most broken hearts. But even as the galaxy began to heal, the remnants of the Void Armada continued to sow chaos. Guerrilla factions emerged, scattered across the stars, intent on reigniting the flames of war. These rogue groups launched raids and sabotage missions, targeting fledgling colonies and diplomatic convoys. The Erebus was called back into action, this time as the flagship of a united fleet tasked with eradicating these remnants. The crew of the Erebus once again led the charge, but this time, they were not alone. Species that had once fought against each other now fought side by side, bound by the unity and cooperation that had been forged in the fires of war. Together, they hunted down the insurgents, ensuring that the darkness of the Void Armada would never rise again. As the years passed, the Erebus transitioned from a warship to a symbol of hope and unity. Its voyages, once marked by combat, became journeys of exploration and diplomacy. The crew traveled to distant and uncharted regions of space, seeking out new civilizations and offering their friendship to those who had remained isolated during the war. On every world they visited, the Erebus left behind a legacy of trust, cooperation, and shared dreams. Its crew became the embodiment of humanity's spirit, resilient, compassionate, and determined. In the aftermath of the war, the galaxy began to rebuild. New councils were formed to address shared challenges, from restoring planets to regulating interstellar trade. Species that had once been enemies now worked together to tackle the pressing issues of their fractured galaxy. And through it all, humanity's role as a unifier remained central. They had proven that even the most unexpected of species could become a force for peace, a beacon of hope in the face of despair. The story of the Erebus became legend. Its name, whispered with reverence across the stars, was a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity's spirit could overcome the impossible. The Erebus and its crew had not only saved the galaxy, they had brought it together. Their legacy would be remembered for generations, a testament to the power of unity, courage, and ingenuity in the face of unimaginable odds. As humanity continued its journey through the stars, they carried with them the knowledge that they had changed the course of history. No longer the naive newcomers, they were now the saviors of the galaxy, leading the way toward a future built not on fear, but on the enduring strength of a shared dream. The Erebus had proved that even the smallest light could ignite a revolution capable of lighting the way to a new era of peace. Through the darkest days of the Void Armada's terror, humanity had not only survived but had thrived, forever altering the fate of the galaxy. And as the stars burned bright with the promise of a new era, the Erebus and its crew continued to explore, to heal, and to protect, ever vigilant, a symbol of what could be achieved when courage, ingenuity, and unity came together. In the years following the defeat of the Void Armada, the galaxy entered a period of reconstruction. The war had left deep scars, worlds were shattered, entire populations decimated, and once proud civilizations were reduced to ashes. But the galaxy's future, though uncertain, was no longer a hopeless void. The Erebus, the symbol of humanity's triumph, stood at the forefront of this new era. Its crew, now hailed as heroes and ambassadors, found themselves navigating a galaxy that was healing from the wounds of war. The remnants of the Void Armada, while scattered and broken, were not easily extinguished. Small factions, pockets of resistance, and rogue commanders lurked in the shadows, waiting for the galaxy to forget the lessons of the past. These insurgents, remnants of the once mighty force, continued to wage guerrilla warfare on the fledgling interstellar nations that had formed in the wake of the Void Armada's destruction. Humanity's job was far from done. Despite their victory, the crew of the Erebus understood the galaxy would need more than just military might to truly recover. The rebuilding process was a colossal task that demanded diplomacy, cooperation, and a vision for a future where conflict was not the answer. The Erebus's mission had evolved. It was no longer just a warship of destruction, but a ship of peace, guiding the galaxy toward an era of stability. Under the leadership of humanity, the galaxy's fractured species slowly began to unite. The Erebus and its crew led the formation of the Galactic Reconciliation Council, a new governing body meant to promote peace and cooperation among the galaxy's various races. The council was the first step in rebuilding not just infrastructure, but trust between species that had once been bitter enemies. Humanity, having proven itself as a military power, now sought to demonstrate its diplomatic capabilities. Captain Alaric Hale, once a warrior hardened by the brutal trials of the Erebus, now stood as one of the foremost leaders of the council, alongside representatives from every corner of the galaxy. Under his leadership, the council worked to resolve old conflicts, broker peace treaties, and ensure that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. The Erebus played a key role in this process. With its advanced technology, the ship was used to transport leaders to peace talks, escort humanitarian aid to planets still recovering, and serve as a symbol of the new era. The crew, too, became diplomats, not just soldiers. Their knowledge, experience, and resilience made them invaluable in the delicate art of galactic diplomacy. But humanity's impact didn't stop with the creation of the Galactic Reconciliation Council. The Erebus also spearheaded a new era of scientific discovery and exploration. With their unparalleled ingenuity and unyielding drive, humanity embarked on missions to explore the furthest reaches of space, discovering new civilizations, uncharted star systems, and ancient technologies that had been lost to time. Each new world they encountered added a piece to the growing mosaic of galactic unity. Humanity's exploration efforts were not just about seeking new frontiers but about finding ways to bring about the technological advancements that the galaxy so desperately needed. Scientists from all races worked together, sharing knowledge that would help reverse the environmental damage caused by the war and ensure the prosperity of all sentient beings. Through these joint efforts, the Erebus's legacy of ingenuity and cooperation sparked a renaissance that brought a new age of enlightenment to the galaxy. One of humanity's most significant contributions came in the form of renewable energy technology. The Erebus's core engines, designed to function on the edge of known science, were adapted to provide clean energy to planets devastated by the war. This technology, coupled with advanced terraforming systems, allowed entire planets to be restored to life. Cities once reduced to rubble were rebuilt with green technologies, and once barren worlds were reborn as thriving hubs of commerce and culture. However, the shadow of the Void Armada never fully faded. Rogue factions and former generals of the Armada were still out there, stirring unrest. Some sought revenge, others desired power, and some were simply driven by a hatred of the new order humanity had helped create. Though their numbers had dwindled, they were still a threat, and the Erebus's crew, though celebrated as peacekeepers, had to remain vigilant. On the frontier worlds, where the reach of the Galactic Reconciliation Council was still weak, small skirmishes broke out. Former Void commanders established outposts in deep space, where they waged campaigns to reclaim what had been lost. These rogue factions adopted different tactics, using deception, subterfuge, and terror to destabilize the peace. They targeted weaker worlds that had not fully recovered from the war, hoping to spread chaos and undermine the fragile alliances humanity and its allies had worked so hard to build. In response, Captain Hale and the crew of the Erebus once again took to the front lines. However, this time, their role was not only as warriors but as peacemakers. They engaged in strategic operations designed to capture key leaders of the rogue factions, dismantle their operations, and peacefully negotiate settlements. The Erebus became a symbol of the strength of peace, showing that even in the face of continued resistance, humanity would not relent. The final blow to the Void Armada came not through direct combat, but through a sophisticated cybernetic warfare campaign. Humanity, using the technology it had helped develop, was able to infiltrate the communication networks of the rogue factions. In a carefully calculated series of strikes, they severed the remaining leaders from their followers, isolating them and rendering them powerless. It was not the might of the Erebus' guns that won the war, it was the resilience, intelligence, and unity of the human spirit. As the last remnants of the Void Armada were eliminated, the galaxy slowly began to enter a new era of peace and prosperity. The Erebus no longer needed to be a warship. Its massive, imposing hull had been reconfigured into a symbol of peace, a ship that once brought destruction now carried hope. Its halls were filled with ambassadors, engineers, and scientists from across the galaxy, working together to solve the challenges that lay ahead. Humanity's place in the galaxy was now firmly established. No longer seen as the underdog, they had become the leaders of a new age, one in which diplomacy, cooperation, and mutual respect were paramount. The Erebus was a permanent fixture of the galaxy's greatest political and scientific institutions, ensuring that its crew's legacy would be carried forward for generations. Captain Hale, though no longer leading the Erebus in battle, continued his work as a senior ambassador, advocating for the preservation of the peace humanity had worked so hard to create. His vision for the future was one in which the galaxy would stand united, not under the banner of a single species, but as a collective of diverse, thriving civilizations working together for the greater good. The Erebus itself traveled from system to system, no longer as a harbinger of death, but as an emissary of hope. Wherever it went, its presence reminded the galaxy that it had once been the weapon of humanity's defiance, a symbol of their victory over darkness, and now, it was a vessel carrying the light of a new era, a future of peace, unity, and exploration. And so, the crew of the Erebus, the heroes who had once fought for survival, now fought for a better future, a future in which the mistakes of the past would not be repeated, and where the legacy of their struggle would inspire the generations that followed. As the stars burned brightly in the sky, the galaxy stood together, united in peace, all thanks to the courage of a single warship and the indomitable will of humanity.